Hello, dear viewers. We are very glad to welcome you today to our roundtable. Global crisis. What kind of future will we choose? Resuming the conference, Global Crisis, this already affects everyone, which was held on July 24, 2021. Today's burning issues were discussed at a conference: artificial intelligence development, environmental crisis, and most importantly, the real causes and consequences of climate change happening everywhere. These topics were discussed by scientists, researchers, professors, businessmen, political figures from all over the world. The conference was organized by people from 180 countries around the world. It was streamed live and translated live into 72 languages. It was streamed live on thousands of platforms of channels worldwide.
Exactly, Christian. Greetings, dear viewers. And we continue this discussion because it's so vital and so acute for all of us to continue this conversation, because we need to do everything possible that this vital information will get to every single person on earth. And I'm so honored to introduce you to our guest speakers today, Dr. Rachad Abdul, international consultant to UNODC, the African Union and the Global Fund, senior regional drug and HIV advisor in Kenya. Welcome, Dr. Abdul. Dr. Al-Zahra Shaheen, director of Aswan Mental Health Hospital, practicing psychiatrist, WHO staff member from Egypt. She will join us shortly. Dr. Tatiana Zinchenko, PhD, psychotherapist, psychiatrist, psychologist, rehabilitation physician, president of the International Association for the Study of Game Addiction in Switzerland. Welcome, Dr. Zinchenko. Dr. Ahmed Abdullah, medical doctor, psychiatrist from Cairo, Egypt. Ms. Falguni Joshi, environmental communicator based at Ahmedabad, India. Welcome, dear guests.
Welcome also from my side. To the conference, vital topics were raised regarding artificial intelligence, regarding the environmental crisis which we caused with the development of our economy and of our society, and of course, the climatic crisis that is happening already everywhere and affecting everybody. This conference created a wide response globally, and this is why the next conference will take place on December 4th, 2021, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth, where we will go deeper into the topics of environmental issues and climate change, discussing this all together. So, because this conference on July 24 created such a wide response, let's watch together a fragment of it just now.
Modern civilization has entered the stage of instability and global crisis.
The future has already arrived. In the field of artificial intelligence, I really understand that today we see tremendous opportunities and possibilities.
We will have human-level intelligence in terms of problem solving, and that we could have that pretty soon.
And in the consumer society we live in today, it will leave us jobless.
Hello, you are fired.
Every owner of some corporation will create a number of machines, fill it with artificial intelligence, so a human being will simply become out of demand in this chain. Millions of people around the world have already become climate refugees. The events are developing at a shocking speed. The force of cataclysms is growing in progression. Their frequency is increasing every day.
What you can see here is in red are the amount of this particular characteristic of the planet, that is left. And we can see that in many cases we have lost more than 60, 50, 60, 70% of this particular ecosystem or species.
We're eating our planet. Maybe it's time we realize our responsibility and solve our problems together.
Because sudden large-scale natural disasters occur on the planet on a daily basis. And there are fewer and fewer safe places.
Soon everyone will be hungry, barefoot, naked. Because of consumerism, we are the generation that will see it through. Either we can stand up to it, or it will end with us.
180 countries on the platform of ALLATRA International Public Movement.
It is broadcast live on thousands of YouTube and other streaming channels. Moreover, thanks to volunteers from around the world who understand the importance of this event, the conference is simultaneously translated into 72 languages.
The main value in a creative society is human life, the life of your children, your loved ones.
Only together can we find solutions. And we all want peace and happiness. And together we can create this world.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Only together we can create the world a better place. And I would like to ask our guests to share in short your impression on the conference, on the topic that were raised there, and on the whole scale of facts which were brought up. Maybe we can start with Tatiana.
Yes, hello. I'm happy to greet everyone at this round table, and indeed, I'm so happy to see experts, professionals who have joined such a great joint discussion at such a topic which is so important for everyone and for society as a whole. Yes, indeed, I was watching the conference and many times already, and it was shocking for me. It was amazing information for me, but when there was such a large-scale research and experts from many fields combined the facts and data from various crises, economic, environmental, climate crisis, and everything that relates to what artificial intelligence will bring to us in the consumer societies, this was just shocking. As long as we are talking here, as long as we are having this round table right now and I'm saying these words, in our world, people are dying, children are dying because they lack water, because they don't have enough food, they have climate disasters, people are become homeless, forests are destroyed. It is happening right now. When I'm saying these words, people are dying from infectious diseases due to anti-sanitary conditions. People lose everything and they have to become refugees and migrants. This is actually what is happening, and these are millions of people over the last several years. It was such a shocking information for me. And you know, there are two types of lies. One lie is a blunt lie when you just distort facts, but the other lie is when people keep silent. And actually, what caused the greater despair in me is the experts and professionals who do know the truth, but they are silent or they distort the facts on purpose. As a result, society does not know what is happening. And I would like to call all scientists, all professionals who deal with research in this field to say the truth, not to be silent, not to conceal these facts which we have to know, because nowadays we are at the stage of actually negation of the problem. We physicians know that until a problem is denied, we cannot cope with this. We are at the stage when we have to know everything in detail and work out the strategy of how for our humanity and society to survive. But we are at the stage of negation, doubt, and this conference actually gave us an impetus. It makes an opportunity to come out of this killing mortal dream of sleep, the time of doubts and denial, because the tremendous amount of facts which were given at the conference, actually it reveals, it opens your eyes to what is happening, and we can set a diagnosis, we can understand what is happening, and moreover, we already know what we need to do in order to resolve all these issues and to get out of this crisis. Of course, this is refusal, rejection of the consumerist format of relationships between people and transfer to the creative format of relationships. It's a combination of all our potential and knowledge and experience in order to resolve this problem, which is tremendous. We have faced such a tremendous problem which we never faced before, and every person is needed to cope with it. We don't have time. We have to act right now and to unite. And what inspires me a lot is that great number of expert scientists, public figures, and people who, already support this, already conduct research, and they are not afraid of speaking. They already are boldly speaking about it and jointly find a solution. This is very inspiring because, my greatest awareness is silence when you know the truth. Is not that, like my personal business or some other person's business, but it's actually a crime, a direct crime against humanity. Because if we know what is happening and if we know what can be a solution, we are obliged to talk about this. And actually, every day, every moment, when we are not saying it, we are wasting this time in vain. These are vain days, because our task today is to share this information through all sources that are available. We don't have to invent any other new methods, but we have to find other ways how to spread this information, and we have to unite and act, because we need to actively do something and create conditions for survival of all people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tatiana. I absolutely agree with you that we need to unite in order to find the solution to all these crucial problems that we have in our society today. And I really like a comparison with a disease that we cannot deny it. In order to get well, we need to admit that we have this problem and find together the solution. Thank you very much for mentioning it today. And I would like to ask the same question to Dr. Abdullah. Could you please share with us your opinion about the conference, and first of all, about this crucial...
Actually, I don't have much to add after Dr. Tatiana, but I think that we need a lot of information exchange and skills training. I think that we are here in Africa, North Africa, in Egypt, and maybe in other places in Africa. We have a lot of crises, and we the issue or the age of modernity. I think that modernity for us means making people dependent. They lost their traditional life and tribes and nature, and they didn't gain actually what's called the modern life or the modern state or the. So we are just in the middle. We lost the traditional skills. We lost the traditional communication. We lost the traditional textile networks, and we didn't have new networks. So I think we need a lot of networking with our neighbors, with people all over the world, experience exchange, information exchange, cooperation. Actually, we need a lot of that, because I think that it's not only to know. I think knowledge now and information is available through internet or through media, but again, people feel dependent. People feel disabled. They feel that they do nothing but watch what's going on, floods or water war or things like that, where their skills are in the minimum or lost. As I said, they lost the traditional skills and they didn't get a new one, so they are just stuck. So even if they know, they could do nothing. So I actually it's very important to raise just an idea or initiative. Together we could make a difference. We couldn't make a difference only in South. We have to cooperate all over the world to create another world, another world possible. That's it. Maybe we need some wisdom from the traditional ages with some technical advices or some modern skills. I don't know, but we have to look for a formula that could make it together just to move to better life, better than what we already live. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdallah. We'd like to ask the same question to Ms. Joshi. What are your impressions after watching the conference? How do you relate to the urgency of these topics?
Namaste. Actually, IPCC Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change today released the AR6 titled Climate Change 2021, the physical science basis. And it also gives a warning to our generation that it will be, the situation is very, it gave the red alert to all of us. But I'm happy that I'm becoming a part of this important initiative because this kind of initiatives are useful to spread information among different groups. And this is helpful for people who are working in the different countries, in the different sectors, and active in different subjects. So, but they are all working for global changes. They all are working to combat global issues like climate change. So there are lots of issues going on around us, and we mostly get engaged in them without thinking broadly. So this kind of initiative, the Global Crisis Roundtable, actually give us a new set of objectives to think. And as a group, we need to raise our voice for the climate change issue too. So this is a global movement, and people from every sector, from every country, and they will be inspiration for each other. So in my view, these conferences are starting point to raise collective voice, and we are miles to go together and with one aim to combat global issues like climate change. So to save our planet, to save Mother Earth. In my home country, India, we have a Sanskrit phrase found in Maha-Upanishad, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakeva. Vasudha means earth and Kutumbam means family. So the meaning of this Sanskrit phrase is the world is one family. So as a one family, we need to find ways to save together, to save our family members, to help our family members, and to find ways to save our Mother Earth. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Ms. Joshi. And I really like that you said that we need to really work together in order to find the solution, because we created that problem together. And that's already super clear, especially after that conference, that one country cannot cope with that problem that we have right now with the ecology, with the climate especially. So if we as a humanity would like to survive, we really need to find a way how we can unite around this idea, about the idea to build the new format of relationship, creative society, in which human life will go first. And that will help us a lot. Thank you so much. And I would like to pass the floor and ask the same question. Dr. Rachad Abdul, could you please share with us your understanding about the importance of this conference?
To everyone. What I would like to share is that I have seen the video and the materials that you have graciously sent to me. And all of the subjects you have dealt with are extremely pertinent and are the basis of very serious and interesting discussions. I would like to say just a few words, a very brief intervention about what I feel is a global crisis within a global crisis. I am working for the last year and a half on the issue of falsified medicines and health products. And this has become particularly acute in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, to the point that now we have seen in 2 or 3 countries around the world the emergence of fake COVID-19 vaccines. What I would like to say is, we have seen, instead of the global solidarity which we yearn for, we have seen a situation where more advanced countries with more resources have basically bought vaccines for their populations, and they should have, as they have to do, rightfully so. But at the same time, we have seen cases of the holding of vaccines to the point that less fortunate or less developed countries up to now have not had access to these life-saving vaccines. And therefore, we have seen the reluctance of some rich countries even to give their extra COVID-19 vaccines to developing countries, forgetting that they are not safe unless everybody is safe. And therefore, what I would like to mention is that we have seen the use of faked medicines, rather, in Africa mostly, and but with this life-threatening situation where simply people are not showing the solidarity that they should in order to save the planet and humanity. We have seen over the last 2 weeks on TV of the wildfires in California, of the floods in Europe, of the devastation that these phenomena what we used to call the natural phenomena, but they are no longer natural phenomena. They are man-made phenomena to a large extent. And how this is, we have seen the floods on the refugees from Myanmar moving into Bangladesh, for example. And while we are horrified by the images we see on television, at the same time, we are not showing enough solidarity. And therefore, as we get more and more sophisticated in science, at the same time, we tend to forget the basics of humanity. That what will be all the artificial intelligence usefulness if we forget and we lose our basic humanity for solidarity, for compassion, and for the wellness of others but ourselves. I would like simply to say, therefore, that as we face this global pandemic, I live in Kenya, I live in Africa, and I have been monitoring, following the situation in many countries around me. And I can tell you, when I talk to members of my network in several African countries, many of my colleagues are losing family members. We have lost even close friends, and the situation is catastrophic. Some countries are doing better, but we are seeing variations in the strain of the virus as well. And therefore, my bottom line is, unless we can harness the powers of intelligence, of artificial intelligence, unless we can harness the power of science, unless we can produce, as India is doing, more and more production of vaccines, unless we can show, therefore, solidarity, we shall lose our humanity and we shall lose ourselves in it. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul, for your insights. Indeed, this is one of the key messages of the conference, that we all people have to unite and that no one is immune in face of the natural catastrophes that are about to unleash on an unprecedented scale. This has nothing to do with social status, religion, country, political views. This already affects everyone, and it will affect everyone, as we have just seen on the conference. I would like to pass the floor now to Dr. Al-Zahra, and I would like to ask you, how do you relate to the conference, to the topics of the conference? How do you relate to the topic of climate change and on the impending refugee crisis that you're about to face? Chenko, the question is the following. We raised the topic of the development of artificial intelligence at the conference. We voiced the threats that artificial intelligence pose to humanity, to every human being, as we're about to face actually mass unemployment, as harsh as it may sound. What do you think is the impact on people's lives? What do you see the developments of artificial intelligence in psychology as an expert? Please share with us, how does artificial intelligence impact your profession and your daily work in the field of psychology?
Artificial intelligence has penetrated all spheres of our life. It is actively involved in general healthcare, and it is one of the most fastly developing fields. On the slide, you can see the most priority research subjects in publications. Artificial intelligence is used in general healthcare, and lately it is also actively introduced and tested in the field of psychic and mental health. One of the most trustworthy indicators of the large scale of use of artificial intelligence in psychiatric and psychological scientists is relevant research, because every research is nothing else but testing of the technology. Lately, during the recent years, according to different sources, over the last 5 years, we see the exponential growth of mental health research based on deep learning and machine learning and highly precise neural networks with the highly precise user content in the internet, because internet content is the source of information. Now I'll give the bibliometric data of the study of this year, where the trends in artificial intelligence is started. For example, machine learning for mental health in social media. 560 articles have been analyzed, published since 2016 and July 2020. Please pay attention to the scale of this overview. Over the last 5 years, the number of publications has demonstrated incessant growth, almost a 5 times increase over 5 years, and there are 100 times more citations in various articles. The next overview showed how artificial intelligence is used for prevention of suicidal behavior and depressions. In the graph, we see the same exponential growth of studies of artificial intelligence use over the last several years in this field. And what can we see here? If we look at this trend compared to the general situation in healthcare, how studies have increased because they have attention and funding, and up to this local narrow topic of depressions and suicidal behavior, we have just identical exponential increase of studies in this field. According to the generalized data of research overviews as input data for various AI algorithms, experts used electronic medical records with brain testing indicators from EEG, MRI, records of somatic diseases, socio-demographic data such as gender, age, country of residence, family status, education, income, occupation, and so on. Text and voice messages, photos and videos from social media and messengers, search activity, user-generated content, all kinds of activity and behavior via the internet and phones. Artificial intelligence algorithms collect and analyze even slightest nuances of a person's verbal and non-verbal behavior, up to changes in the voice strength, timbre, and modulation of one's voice, speed of speech, mime, gesticulation, eye movement, and gaze fixation. Not to mention, you see, everything is tested, not to mention whom we communicate with, how and on what subjects, what we write, and what information we pay more attention to. So basically about the contact as well. Artificial intelligence takes into account hundreds of biomarkers. No psychologist or psychiatrist is capable of that. Based on the analysis of these data, AI draws conclusions on the presence of symptoms of various mental disorders and dependencies, on a person's emotional state, mood, thought, behavioral disorders, intentions, desires, and also the degree of his or her aggression. If we look at the subjects and results of studies, we can see that AI is successfully applied for diagnosis, identification of severity, and prediction of the possible risk of depression, suicidal thoughts and behavior, generalized anxiety disorder, insomnia, stress levels, psychosis, and all kinds of addictions. Moreover, it does it with the accuracy of 73 to 98%. AI is also actively used for diagnosing and predicting the development of cognitive disorders, starting from the attention deficit syndrome, vocal development delay, mental retardation, up to autism and neurodegenerative diseases. Already now, AI gives recommendations on medicamental treatment, preventive treatment, and prescription of psychotropic drugs, with due regard for all individual particularities and diseases. 10,000 diagnostic and therapeutic applications have been already developed. Virtual psychotherapeutic applications supported with AI are currently developing at a rapid pace. For example, therapeutic applications such as TESS and other chatbots, Sarah, Visa, Voyabot, Talkspace, which work with text messages. They are applied to decrease anxiety and depression symptoms. In the Avatar project, applications have been developed to eliminate permanent auditory hallucinations in psychotic patients. Usually, those are computer images of faces on monitors of computers or tablets, which interact with the patients by means of intellectual algorithms. Avatar coaches also used as a part of immersive virtual reality to treat the fear of heights. Intelligent robots looking like animals such as Para, the Greenland seal, are furthermore often used to help patients with dementia. AI robots are successfully applied to interact with autistic children to improve their social and speaking skills. So, even at the current stage of development by its functions and efficiency, artificial intelligence can undertake a great range of professional tasks of a psychiatrist and a clinical psychologist, and in the future it can totally replace them. But will this lead to an improvement in this field of mental health? In consumerist society, no. AI is not artificial consciousness. It works based on precise algorithms and the database which is embedded in it. Unfortunately, in psychiatry, there are no very few reliable and accurate algorithms. Our diagnostic classifications represent agreements on how to calculate and by what means. We are far from understanding the true causes and mechanisms of development of mental disorders, while medicamental treatment is rarely effective. In order to get convinced of this, suffices to pay attention to the dynamics of the growth of mental disorders and addictions over the last decades across the world. And this takes place despite continuous creation and introduction of new psychotropic drugs. We are confused on the concepts of what human consciousness and personality are. What is the nature of thoughts, emotions, and desires? In consumer society, a materialistic paradigm is defended, while any attempts to review basic ideas of how our inner world is arranged are being blocked or ignored. So, AI introduction will merely cause total control and sophisticated manipulation over people under the guise of care for health and well-being by means of collecting data on every person's individual profile. Moreover, it will ensure profit increase in the psychopharmaceutical industry, control, influence, profits, and nothing more. In the creative society, on the contrary, technology development will release the research and creative potential of doctors from diagnostic and documental routine. Being free in their scientific studies, they will be able to study subtle mechanisms of psyche, the work of consciousness, to understand the nature of consciousness and thoughts, and to understand the nature of personality. They will be able to figure out the causes and mechanisms of mental disorders, and thus to find efficient treatment methods. True effective psychotherapy is based on unique human potential, the knowledge of our duality, and opportunity to observe and direct the work of our consciousness with our attention. This does not possess either by artificial intelligence or by artificial consciousness, as we found out during the expertise of the artificial consciousness. For this, doctors will have time and opportunities. And the main thing is that in the creative society, all prerequisites and preconditions for the development of mental disorders will gradually disappear. So, of course, we can use artificial intelligence for the benefit of humanity, and basically we can eliminate the problem of mental disorders, but this is possible only in the creative society. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Tatiana, for these incredible insights. Indeed, we are somehow set to believe that artificial intelligence is only impacting the industry, logistics area. It's about robots, automation, but somehow they cannot replace people, because we talk about arts and psychology, and this is what only people can do. And we see how artificial intelligence is already infiltrating all spheres of our life. And thank you very much, Tatiana, for this wonderful insights and for stressing how important the creative society is, and to have a real understanding of what a psychologist should do and how he should work and indeed treat the patient and be free of any other material interest, as it happens today in many, many cases, unfortunately. We'd like to pass the floor now to Dr. Al-Zahra. We're very happy that you're able now to be with us, that the internet connection is stable. So we'd like to catch up and ask you the same questions as our other speakers. How do you relate to the topics of the conference? How do you resonate with them, and how important is it to voice the truth and speak about these subjects? Dr. Al-Zahra, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very pleased. Yes, the topics are very important and very diverse, that they collect many scientists through over. Maybe it widens the scope of mental illness. You did talk about refugees and other people that are in crisis. The pandemic may be the scope of us. The mental illness is my scope, but other topics are not, but they are related to us. And so we are faced with people coming from the outcome of all these crises, economic crisis, financial problems. They join every problem to the mental health services, because people when stressed, when they cannot take their decision, when they cannot manage their problems, when they are struggled with contradictory forces or ideas or beliefs, or they are forced to do something out of their control. Losing control is very, very stressful condition that, or like refugees, they cannot do anything. The disasters that are natural disasters, they are out of our control. But when people do that by maybe spreading viruses, stressing on others, violence, wars, they are very, very stressful to people that they cannot manage. This leads to mental illness, because with this, through this pandemic or many things in Syrian and Sudanese, people, when they migrate from their countries, and maybe I'm not one of the team of crisis intervention, but this system, I believe, it happened to be settled in Egypt through the last year or 1.5 years in the pandemic of COVID. But we faced those people and struggle in our clinics, in our hospitals. Team construction and hotlines were made to face this. Suicide, just like what Tatiana told us now, suicide increases, mental illness increases in crisis, maybe twice, maybe 3 times more than the normal life or the usual life that people can live in. And so management of crises that are faced with all people in different ways all over the world is very, very hot topic. And I thank you to start and create this society to talk about this, because it is not faced with so much sincere precautions, or maybe guidelines were put in psychiatry to face that. And we try to be more advanced and creative. In Egypt, we made many efforts at many levels, and we were met every day. In the pandemic crisis, we have a support team that goes in every crisis, trains, floods. Maybe we have no enough teams, but we are working and going to different levels to manage crisis, because we face that we are facing a low number, or not there is no big number of psychiatrists, social workers that are trained to train to help people in crisis, but we are trying to do that. Maybe the COVID-19 pandemic make it easy to make more groups and to encourage people and motivate them to go through and help other people in different ways through different levels, from the lay people to the very expertise and different level of help and support happened at that time. Even on the national level, many groups, meditation, maybe psychotherapy, maybe supportive therapy, they all help, they all gather together to pass this. Maybe this happened because of the pandemic, but what about the daily crises, the catastrophes that happened all over the world? What about them? Where are we? You stresses on this. You didn't, in your conference last month, you didn't see the pandemic that will last just one year or 2 years. You widen the scope. You see before other people can predict. You want to show the people that crises are happening every day. We have to manage every day people that are in crisis, really. We cannot see them because they are not large number. This is not a pandemic. They are not advertised by advertisements. They are not tackled by media. And so scientists who are feeling really that humanity is the first thing that we can think about, not politics, not just media, they are seeing beyond the scope. They predict what will happen from the start. They can predict the bad effects or the side effects of technology, the side effects of computers, video games. Maybe everything like a weapon has two sides. The creative society will describe the difference between having the good side or benefit from the good side of something new or something that's very advanced, and make a stress on the hazards or the side effects and the other side of the weapon that's sharp, that can kill other people or make them lost their jobs, lost their lives, going into suicide. This is the scope of science and the humanity as well. Maybe science have no soul, have no emotions, but humanity that we face in a larger group and creative society see beyond the advancement and the creation per se, or the being happy by success or doing something. No. Maybe some people manipulate the new techniques, and their target is having money, is going to be celebrate, to be famous, and that. But here in our group, so we are proud of that, and I'm proud to be with you, that you see the other side. Humanity is the core of our life. Taking care of others is the core of our life, not being individualized or being manipulating others because I want to take the benefits for myself. This is very important, and so I'm happy and I'm willing to share this experience. Some people see that they give a lot of money to make a research, and so he should have a result and good result and make a success. No. Here in the creative society, no. We want to see the right thing and make the correct thing, and we collect each other to know the other sides of the truth. The big window, we see, we make a wider scope to see everything from everyone, from every place in the world. I like the experience in Egypt. Maybe we have a warm relationship. We are protective in our societies. and we still have the family and the concept of when you love the other, then you will be more a good person. This is very curious in educating young children. Maybe the new generation, they are not seeing that because of the globalization, but still families and still our societies are protective and seeing the good things. We try to encourage that in mental health because our core target is to make people that are struggled with the phase that they find in the world, in the real world. We want to restart their emotions and make them believe in good things, make them believe that they are supported, make them believe that other people support them in the good things, and they can understand them, and they can help them in time of crisis. And so this is a target in helping people in mental health. We are going to make many tools, and maybe by drugs, because this is important, but drugs are not enough. We should give psychotherapy, supportive therapy, crisis intervention. Support is very important. How we are not machines to take a drug like each other or walking on an algorithm. No, there is individualization. We should see everything that make this happen. Depression is not just a depression. It's many types of depression. Precipitating factors can differ. Maybe some people faced with the same crisis or a disaster, but everyone take it from a different or affected by it in a different way. Maybe someone got anxious, someone got schizophrenic, someone get addict someone withdrawn, and so we should see him as a human. We should see what's the background. How could I help this particular patient, particular person to help him? How could I predict that this crisis will make as a hazard in the economic level, in the mental level, in the societal level, in the moral level? Science should predict that this will happen and prevent them and make policies like we are sitting now to make policies to prevent what we see beyond the day we are in, and to prevent hazards from happening. And so I thank very much the very advanced creative thoughts and ideas and researches that we are now hearing from you. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much, Dr. Al-Zahra, for your very interesting speech. And indeed, I can only confirm that in the 8 foundations of the creative society, the fundamental unit of our society is the human being. And we have to focus all our attention, our time, our resources to improve the life of the human being. As you just put it so nicely, we're not machines, we're not animals, we're human beings. And we have this capability to love, to give, to share, to improve, to create. And this is why I call it a creative society, where we all people create together. And we have this focus in our mind that we put human life first. Thank you very much. And unfortunately, we see exactly the contrast today, that the society based on profit, consumption, greed, yes, and this endless thirst for power has led us to a deadlock. We're leaving a planet that is almost dead to our descendants. We destroyed the environment. And now I'd like to pass the word to Ms. Joshi from India. Ms. Joshi from India is an active person who is aware of what is happening today in the world, and she started taking action. Can you tell us, Ms. Joshi, please, you're working with young people and educating about environmental issues. How important is it for people to be aware of the current environmental situation on the planet? How dangerous is it for a human being to live in this polluted environment, in this damaged, destroyed environment?
As you rightly mentioned that I think my fellow speakers also mentioned that we all faced worse situation due to pandemic and somehow did not able to work for other important issues like air pollution, climate change, and eco degradation. So the role of youth in this climate crisis or role of youth in environmental issue is quite remarkable. As I mentioned earlier, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, released its sixth assessment report, AR6, titled Climate Change 2021, the Physical Science Basis, which has predicted that India will suffer more frequent and intense heat waves as well as increased precipitation in the remaining decades of the 21st century. Actually, as we all know, that climate change has affected every region on the planet, and report found that over the next 20 years, global temperature is expected to reach or exceed by 1.5 degrees centigrade of warming. So when we indicate word youth, when we speak word youth, we feel energetic, we feel hope, and we feel power too. So according to UN definition, youth means persons between ages of 15 and 24 years. Apart from statistical definition, the meaning of term youth varies in different society around the world. I like to share my experience of working with the young people. So we already knew that 90% of world's young people are living in developing countries, and these developing countries are having important environmental concerns and responsibilities too. There are intergenerational responsibility also. So young generation developed a new form of activism and brought new energies and perspective to the environmental matters, especially on climate change issues. So I like to share my experience because youth have the capacity to identify and they can challenge the existing power structures and barriers for change. So I am from the land of Mahatma, representing the region where Mahatma Gandhi was born and where he started the struggle of injustice, struggle against injustice. He said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." This line looks very simple, but very hard to implement. So I am connected with a youth group named Green Catalyst, which is an initiative to nurture and empower the youth to spread environmental awareness among citizens and initiate actions which will improve the environment in the region. So Green Catalyst is a leadership program that focuses on sustainability. Objective of our program is to prepare change agents who will spread awareness and sensitize other youth and communities. Under this program, students are selected from different institutes, different disciplines, and trained extensively on various environmental issues through different methods. So youth, they understand the complexity of current environmental issues. They are also given hands-on learning via field visit for specific environmental issue to sensitize them about the problem. So during the pandemic era, we started virtual capacity building programs. And I like to mention one more thing, that when we say change, we need to listen about resistance. We need to look at difficulties. We need to understand injustice, and today's youth is aware about climate injustice also. They not just believe in the Go Green and sustainability agenda, but they like to think about need versus want scenario. They are aware about the need to change lifestyle, especially our consumption patterns. They are aware that we need to implement the reduce, reuse, and recycle philosophy in day-to-day life. So youth participation in practical environmental projects is an important way to empower them. And we are doing that thing also. Initiatives like municipal solid waste management projects, citizen science projects, information dissemination through different media about environmental rights and responsibilities. These activities actually are helpful for youth. So on the other hand, environmental political education is also important, because after all, we need to influence political leadership, political activism that directed and at the organizations or corporation. So that is also necessary. That is also a learning experience for the youth. And I also want to mention that environmental education or climate literacy is the core part of our initiative, because education is just not EDU, CATION for us. It is entitlement, dedication, understanding, caring, ability, togetherness, involvement, organization, and nurturing. So I think today's youth have the capacity to identify and they can challenge the existing situation. They have a power to change the situation. So this is very much important for the climate change issue. As we all are aware that negotiation process, the COP26 is coming near, and countries will need to decide about urgent actions. So I like to end my speech by saying that youth is backbone of our society and able to take challenge. We need to trust them and we need to empower them. Thank you.
We thank you very much, Ms. Joshi, for your very interesting experience. That is indeed a motivation, and a lot of people have to follow this path. And as you stressed on very importantly, as Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Change has to start with us. It's high time we start taking responsibility for our own actions and stop pushing responsibility to somebody else, might be politicians, governments, and waiting for them to improve our lives. No, it's upon us. And this is a fundamental concept of the creative society, that only we, the people, we can implement the creative society. Only we united. It's not the task of governments. It's not the task of politicians or only scientists or economists to fix the problems. We, everybody, have to wish that we fix these problems and we live in the society that we deserve and is our only way out in the face of the climatic apocalypse that is upon us. So we have this strong need to raise awareness on these issues. And at a conference, there was another very important subject: climate refugees. We already touched upon this today. And we have seen at the conference that the climate refugees are indeed an issue today, and that human beings can live in such miserable conditions, to be honest, which are actually inhumane. I have to repeat, we're not animals, we're not robots. This is the real picture that some people live in today. And I would like to watch together with all of you an excerpt from the conference dealing with the topic of climate refugees. Please show the video.
Have you ever thought that there might be circumstances when you will suddenly have to leave your home, your apartment, or your town? Leave forever. And the reason for this would be neither traveling, nor vacation, or a planned moving, but the necessity to survive. Refugee. You have probably heard this word from the news. But have you ever thought that sooner or later you may become a refugee yourself? After all, climate disasters know no borders, social statuses, or schedules. In 2020 alone, 82.4 million people were forced to leave their homes. This is equal to the population of such countries as Germany or Turkey. This is more than the population of Great Britain or France. Refugees are people who are fleeing a deadly threat. But today, there is no place for them to run to. Their lives are exposed to danger and risk wherever they get to. Among them, there are millions of people, climate refugees, who have no protection of the law. Neither the Refugee Convention nor the international law oblige countries to accept climate refugees. On January 21st, 2020, the UN Human Rights Committee ruled that countries cannot send people back to their home country who have faced climate changes. It ruled, but actually rejected the world's first complaint filed by Loan Tessiota against New Zealand, which violated his right to life by being deported to his home country of Kiribati. After the deportation of Loan's family, one of his children suffered from a serious case of blood poisoning. Climate refugees are one of the most disenfranchised categories of people. The laws of many countries provide for penalties regarding inhumane treatment of animals, but they give absolutely no protection to the people who miraculously survived a natural disaster and ended up on the street without means of sustenance. Every day, one child dies among migrants or refugees. Mark Lowcock said, "I'm getting daily reports of babies and other young children dying in the cold." Imagine the grief of a parent who escaped a war zone, with their child only to watch that child freeze to death. We build shelters for homeless animals, but we refuse to help people in need. Not only do we refuse to help these people, all kinds of violence against refugees are permitted. Many countries began a containment policy, trying to prevent refugees from entering their territories at all costs. According to the UN, thousands of people were pushed back by the border control authorities in Europe using violent measures. The pandemic worsened the situation for refugees. According to official information, tightening of border crossings did not let hundreds of thousands of people leave zones of armed conflicts, economic crisis, and environmental disasters. Meanwhile, the number of business trips abroad remained practically at the same level. Since 2015, border violence has become more sophisticated. Moreover, since 2020, the number of tortures has increased compared to the previous year. A special report prepared by Border Violence Monitoring Network on tortures in 2020 analysis data from 286 testimonies of violent pushbacks, prolonged beating for up to 6 hours at a time, police dogs being released and encouraged to attack, forced undressing, the burning and destruction of clothes, and forcing people on the move to cross borders in a complete state of undress. Groups of up to 80 men, women, and children were forced to undress completely and placed inside the detention room. Severe beating and throwing victims into water, resulting in their disappearance. Here are just a couple of quotes from the victims. They even fired shots close to our ears for the purpose of intimidating us. They didn't ask us anything, just started the beating. We had mayonnaise and ketchup in our bags, which they rubbed on our wounds. In December 2020, the Black Book of Pushbacks was published. A 1,500-page book documents the horrific violence suffered by over 12,000 people at the hands of authorities on the external borders of civilized European countries. Oxfam International published a similar report in 2018. Police detain children as young as 12 in cells without water or food and removed SIM cards from their mobile phones. Changing their birth date on statements, illegitimately pushing them back across the border, cutting the soles off their shoes so they wouldn't try to come back. There is clear evidence of an increased sexual and gender-based violence against women and girls, both during and after disasters. Multiple cases of sexual abuse of children have been documented. Elderly people are also at increased risk of violence, exploitation, and abuse. In our society, a person loses their property, their place of residence, loses the right to protection and life. Refugee camps have appalling conditions. Fabrizio Carboni, Near and Middle East Regional Director of the International Committee of the Red Cross, says about the refugee camps. Tents plagued by rats, water sources contaminated by feces, and inhabitants suffering from tuberculosis, scabies, and post-traumatic stress. Hundreds of children, mostly boys, some as young as 12, are detained in adult prisons, places they simply do not belong. These are the realities of our consumer society we live in. Considering the trend of escalating climate disasters, are you sure disasters won't come to your home tomorrow? Are you prepared to be in those people's shoes? Or shall we change things together? Nobody values human life in a consumer society. But in the creative society, human life is of the highest value.
Yes, we have seen the realities now, and it can happen to every one of us because the climatic catastrophe we see outside of our windows are cyclical and they recur every 12,000 years. And we are so lucky we live exactly in this period of time. And their further intensification is inevitable. Today, millions of people already become the refugees and have to migrate. And what will happen tomorrow to us? Because thanks to scientists from various countries who spoke openly at the conference about the true cause of global climate change, we know exactly that very, very, very soon billions of people will have to migrate. And again, are you ready for that situation? And we all think that everyone has right to know this information about the real causes and magnitude of the ongoing climate catastrophes. So, and I understand that's our responsibility to share this information with people from around the world, that they know true situation.
Indeed, Marina, this is a very good question. How does our future look like, considering the circumstances that are developing now in the climate? And what happens if we become all climate refugees? Nobody can spare us from this. It's not, as I said, about gender, religion, political views, social status, and so on. We have just seen in Germany some weeks ago horrific floods. And I heard from people from other continents that honestly said, we would have never imagined that this could have happened in Germany. Oh, yes, it can. It can happen in Germany, in Japan, in the United States, in Sweden, in all developed and all developing countries. In all countries, it can happen. And therefore, we have to be prepared for the topic of climate refugees. And this is why I would like to pass the floor to Dr. Abdul. Dr. Abdul is an expert on refugees and will share with us very interesting insights on what are the conditions of refugees. What drives the people to migrate? And how do we end up? What are the real conditions? Dr. Abdul, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I would like to clarify that I am not an expert on refugees, but I can bring my insights from other fields of my work to draw some inferences. Number one, it is the right of everyone to access the correct information. It's the right to access the right information and the correct information in the all walks of life. Number two, I would like to draw an analogy of what we have seen in the HIV response over the last 3 decades in terms of how communities transformed and shaped their lives by taking ownership for the response. And I would like to believe that in our case today, as we face those global crises, I would like to think that communities can again take ownership of their future and change and transform their lives for the positive impact. And finally, I would like simply to state that the right to health and the right to life is for everyone, whether you are sitting in London or you are living in Bujumbura. That everybody, in spite of their social or economic conditions, in spite of their lack of access to resources, have actually a right to live and live well. With this, I would like to thank the organizers of this meeting, and very much so my thanks go to Tatiana, who has, I don't know where she draws her energy from, as well as the team, but thank you very much indeed, Tatiana, and the team you have around you. You have done a marvelous job. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdul. I absolutely agree with you that people have right to receive truthful and timely information about all spheres of life. And we definitely need to understand that that will be possible only if we will change the format to the format where the human life will stay on the first place and not the profit or anything else, but human life. In this case, in this format, we will know everything that we need to know in order to save ourselves and our families. And I would like to ask the question, Dr. Al-Zahra. So we saw what kind of difficulties, physical difficulties, moral difficulties, have to face the refugees. Could you please tell us from the psychological perspective, what kind of strain faced people who have become refugees?
Oh, yes, thank you. This is a very important question because minorities are not seen by everyone. Minorities are beyond the scope of the marvelous and the very shiny and the stars that we are seeing every day and everywhere. We all are seeing what's above, what's shining. But those people who are even maybe cannot talk, cannot show themselves, they are so much faced with a strange situation. If you can imagine by yourself, how could you feel that your country is refusing you and the other country is very afraid and refusing you as well? This is very difficult situation to every one of us. Maybe we can imagine that the country is the mother or the core, something that we are in. Imagine that a child is seeing that his country is not loving them or is hurting them. His mother is hurting them. How could he feel? Very stressful situation. Very stressful situation. And the other one, that a mother left him in the street, and someone he goes to another home, and the other home is very afraid of him to be a thief, to do something that will divide the air that they breathe, the money. It's very a hard situation. When we made something just like that, we make groups to talk to these people, and many non-organizational groups, or they tackle this. If they forget the mental part or the emotional part, and they only take in their mind how they are, how could we make a home for them, give them money to live, or make a job for them? Those things are very important, I think. Like Maslow's pyramid, when you see the needs of human being, so start with vegetative things, or food and eating, and then home. But the safety is very important thing. And those people are going to be at the bottom of the pyramids of the psychology. If you know, if someone know the pyramid of Maslow is one of the, maybe if someone don't know him briefly, Maslow is one of the scientists who, in psychology, that see that someone cannot create unless he passed through the basic needs. And he made it as a pyramid. Someone should have food, should have to be safe in a home, and then to create and to make something on the top of the pyramid. And so those people are minorities. They are not seen. Being watched, being felt by other people, organizations, the whole world, is our responsibility. We scientists, we see that. We see those people in our clinics, in our offices, in our labs, in our, not all people can see them. This is very important to make a scope on these people. Their problem may, as you say, or the film we see in the film now, that it might transform. I may be one of them one day, because disasters may be not refuse or war or something, or violence, or just like that. But it may be a natural disaster. And so crisis might be like your title in this conference. Everyone might face this. And so if we are thinking logically, we should find strategies to first to recognize the problem and to assess it, and then to make every effort to gather this information about those people from different countries, and then make a rapid, and don't think that this thing is very far. No, time is going on and things become bigger, like a snowball, and something will be bigger, and we cannot control at that time. Maybe if you prevent something from its beginning, it will be better. I faced with something in the politics, and the government sometimes didn't move, didn't hear the voice of scientists. The scientists make alarm. Something will happen. Something will happen. There is a problem, because the scientist has a very deep view. Didn't want to see the stars. You want to see that and that. You want to collect the truth. You want to face the truth, because this is the generous the generosity of the human being is to predict and resolve problems, and he can't do this. But when we didn't see that, we cannot make an important problem. Many governments didn't move unless the disaster happened. And so I think this is a very important point to make a pressure from the scientists. I make it a nice touch, not a violent or something just to make contradictions in a violent way. No, the science should be very warm, very tender, and very clever, and very intelligent to reach and to show people that not only this small group that governs somewhere. Not I don't say it to the whole community or society. Maybe it's in a town, in a governorate, in a special needs population, or something just like that. But I mean the approach to make the change of the and motivate the society or certain groups, particularly, to move towards solving problems to those refugees is an important point, like collecting information, like making people see that the approach to solve the problem through different levels with a tender and nice way is a very crucial, because you may take someone to be away from you if you don't approach him correctly or properly. And so every point and every step of them should be wisely and nicely put. And I think this is the protocol or the points or the steps that we should do in creative society. We collect information and we predict problems, and how we could make people see in a nice way to make them motivate to move towards solving their problems freely and friendly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Al-Zahra, for this insight, stressing again upon the importance of humanity and this generous and good part of a human being, and this willingness to solve issues, to solve problems. And I can only agree that indeed we have to use the time now. Time is very short and we still have a chance to improve things. Maybe in 2 years, in 5 years, it will be definitely too late for this. We have many doctors with us today, medical doctors. Tatiana is one of them. And I think Tatiana would like to share a comment now. Tatiana, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much for giving me the floor. I would like to share such a piece of information which I heard on one of the international conferences from Dr. Richard. And probably he will add something to the information which I said, because it was shocking for me at that point. And of course, I had a great understanding and, had such an expansion of understanding after watching the conference of July 24. But what this information is about, Mr. Richard was dealing with drug addiction for a long time. He was studying these issues, and he saw how migrants, teenagers, when female teenagers, when they came from poor places in Africa, in order to survive, they had to sell their bodies, and they were exposed to sexual abuse, and they were kind of stuffed with drugs in order to just forget this nightmare in which they found themselves. So basically, these are children between 10 and 16 years old. They had in such terrible conditions. That's what was discussed in the conference, that many teenagers actually are exposed to violence during migrations and when they become refugees. Also, the doctor told about trucks which cross the deserts filled with migrants, and there are many people among them who sold everything, who sold their property, their houses, in order to survive and to move to the countries where there are more resources. But these people actually were literally burning in the sun, and half of them never reached their target, their destination. I was shocked with that information, because this is really what is happening to migrants and refugees. And each of us, I don't know, can be in the cabin of such a truck, or our children, or our parents. And each of us can suddenly, become a participant of such a road, of such a nightmare road, for the sake of survival, for which we will be just exposed to violence, non-acceptance. If we put ourselves in the shoes of the passengers of these trucks and of these girls, we will clearly understand how important to treat this situation in a proper way and how to act in such situations. that humanity, mutual assistance should be paramount, and without the creative society, without changing the format, we will not be able to cope with this problem, given that in the near future, 10 million a year, 10 million climate refugees a year, and in the near future, we will see billions of them. How will we cope with them if we don't change our worldview, if we don't open our hearts and don't change the format of relationships? Probably Dr. Richard will also supplement to what I said, because these are such fragments of his presentation at the conference. I would really like him to add to this. I think that he has a lot of information on this, on this subject and personal experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Tatiana. Let me illustrate what you have just said with a very concrete example. What I have seen almost a year and 15 months ago. I was in Niger, and one evening, I was taken for a walk in a particular street in Niger. And there were roughly speaking, about 200 or more young women, scantily dressed and awaiting for their clients. And what you would not believe is that they had to make a living, of course, while they were there, while waiting for their opportunity to go to Europe. But you would think that most of them will come from West Africa region, Ghana, Nigeria, Burkina Faso. But believe me, they came as far as Sudan, as Eritrea, Ethiopia. They were there. And they were housed in special camps for the East group and the West group. And as they had to wait for this opportunity to go elsewhere, in Europe particularly, through the desert and then through the ocean, they had to make a living. And the only way that they could make this living was, number one, to sell their bodies. And number two, to sustain this activity over and over every single night, they had to resort to drug use as well, especially amphetamines and amphetamine-type stimulants. So it was a dramatic scene, but which happened every night in that particular street where they agglutinate in order to make a living. So this is something I have seen. It's not the only place I have seen this. Sometimes in one particular airport in Eastern Africa, you would see 50, 60, 70 women from Eritrea making their way south towards Southern Africa by air. And they have all their documents. So we have to make the difference between trafficking of persons and smuggling of migrants. And these are economic refugees. They are trying to make a better lives for themselves. They send back money back to their families. We have a very good example of Nigeria, where in the Benin city in Nigeria, it's a place which is well known for young women going to Europe, Italy, and other places to engage in prostitution, though they are not told at the time they leave in their country that this will be their fate, but this is what they aim to do, simply to make a living. So yes, you are entirely correct, Tatiana, and thank you for reminding me of this episode, which I have seen in Niger, therefore, almost a year and a half ago. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abdul, for these insights. It is indeed very important to share such experience because many people just have a way too rosy view of the world they live in. As we have seen in the video with the climate refugees, we build home shelters and hotels for animals, which is indeed very nice. What about people? Don't we have to put human life first? Isn't human life the most valuable on this planet? Doesn't it need to be protected and cherished and valued and respected of each human? of every single human on this planet. So we covered today key topics about climate change, about the environmental crisis that we are in, and about artificial intelligence as well, which is a big threat if we continue to have the current relationships between people based on profit, consumption, and power instead of the human life. So I would like to address this question to all our speakers today. Are we ready to unite? Are we ready to shake hands, all of us? Are we ready to dissolve these artificial borders that separate us? We talked today about physical borders, but in the world of psychology, we have artificial borders. We have our thoughts, we have our prejudices, we have our pride, we have our stupidity as well. Are you ready to unite all people, to put this human life first? Are we ready now to take action to ensure the continuation of the human civilization on this planet, to protect all lives of the almost 8 billion people living on this planet? Are we ready for this? Do we want to change something? Are we ready to change it in this direction? I would pass the floor now to Ms. Joshi from India.
Thank you for asking me about this important issue, because scientists already told us that climate change is widespread, rapid and intensifying, and some trends are now irreversible, at least during the present time frame. So science announced in form of latest reports the code red for humanity, code red for human-driven global heating. So I like to mention that we need to ask question to ourselves, why? And we need to find the answer within ourselves. Our focus is actually to unite for the united efforts. We can learn by doing. We need to learn from real life experiences. This is the platform where people from different backgrounds can come together and share, network, and actually strengthen their efforts, share their point of view. And this is the unique platform that is giving chance to people working with positive mindset, people who are working for humanity, for the care of the other people. So people working with nature supporting mindset, I can say, they get a chance to come to one platform in thanks to Creative Society, and that will be helpful for larger group to understand the issue in broader way. Thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts. Hoping to collaborate again with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We heard very, very crucial information today, and we understand that we cannot stay still and remain silent. So we really need to spread this information. And how do you think, dear speakers, how crucial is to say right now that without unification, we will not be able to overcome this difficult situation that we're facing right now already? Maybe Dr. Abdul can start to answer this question.
Thank you very much. There are two ways to look at this. There is no way that you can do away with reunification. You need to get together to get stronger, to unite your creative energy and your thinking and your actions. But as we work towards that, I think in spite of the COVID-19 situation, there is a lot we can do on a daily basis to make a small change, whether it starts with ourselves or our surrounding or our families. And therefore, this change is one on a personal, individual, small step basis that we can do each of one of us, because community will become a lot. And number two, then to look at this, global design where we can all unite and provide something from our living experience or our expertise and our time in order to make things better. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Unification is such an easy word, but right now many of us simply don't understand the meaning of it. And the meaning is just to get together and unite around this idea of creating a better world, creating a future for us and for our kids. Dr. Shaheen, could you please share with us how you understand the importance of unification in front of this global crisis?
Yes, thank you. Unification is the main target of our humanity, because someone who is isolated is not going to do something, will do little things. We have a writer, Al-Aqad in Aswan, who born in Aswan here in my city, who said something. He said that one idea is used, or many ideas, but if you make two mirrors in front of each other, how many pictures can you see? And so he said that ideas is not me and two, there are two ideas. No, we are like mirrors. We can see many very, very unique ideas that will go on and go on when we both two meet. And so, what if we are from all the world? Different cultures, different climates, different opinions, different studies, and different emotions. And how could we do? We'll do very marvelous things that we do. I feel that when I worked with Tatiana in the artificial intelligence and artificial consciousness, it was a very great opportunity to make something that's very creative, very something that is very new, unexpected. We are all have experience in our the field of psychiatry and psychology, but this idea was very innovative. When we talk together, we have to talk about many ideas. The main target, the part that I love in this group, is the main idea. We are not talking about abstract things. We are going into the global things. What will make all of us better, not just one person or two, one nation or two. This is very curious. This is the very emotional, and make people feel that we are in equity. We are respected. This is very important in the group. Every idea is very important. Maybe there is no minorities in our groups. They are all important. At the time they are ready, we'll see many things because we have many mirrors here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for bringing this comparison. It's really showing very, very nicely the word of the meaning of the unity and importance of every single person in the world. Thank you very much for that. And I would like to ask the same question, Dr. Tatiana Zinchenko. Could you please tell us how you understand the meaning of unity in a building of creative society?
Unity in creative society, first of all, starts with the constructive goal under which we unite. And we have such a goal. This is the creative society. And united by this goal, we are already able to develop the strategies and tactics, how we can unite our potential, our great ideas, our energy, our resources. And because right now we are in such situation that we will literally have to basically share every drop of water, every piece of bread to survive. Only by doing that, we will be able to survive and find a solution and use such technologies that we already have, but we will have to unite to use these technologies in order to survive, but not to fight with each other. Once we will be ready and be able to put it all together and share it with everyone and interact with each other, cooperate with each other, find solutions, look for solutions and implement them, then we will be able to implement this goal, this wonderful goal where the main value is human life, where each person will be able to basically develop himself, and we will be able to implement such format of interactions as creative one. And after the conference that was held on the 24th of July, on the inside I felt this, that we are in the stage of no return, in the point of no return. We have to stop this denial, and we have to start to interact with each other for this main common goal. We have to inform people to make them understand what is going on. And during this conference, we heard a lot of facts, a lot of information that was gathered so that people could see and realize that there is a problem and there is a solution of this problem. And basically to convey this information to every person that I meet every day, literally every day. This point of no return sounded as I have no right to live this day if I did not inform every person that I meet today with the information that I heard. But also I have to apply my initiative to basically widen this range of the contacts, share the information on every meeting that I participate in, everywhere where I am, because we have no time to sit and wait. We need to basically shift to another stage, go to another stage, and not to be as an ostrich and hide our head in the sand, but we have to start acting. We have to basically start implementing and thinking about how altogether we can survive and how altogether we can organize our way of living so that all people will be able to survive and have enough resources for this, what kind of technologies we need for this, what kind of possibilities, and just take it and do it. And only after that, all our bright knowledge that we have will be used constructively for the betterment, for the implementation of this goal, and all 8 billion of people will be able to survive, every one of us. And then we'll be able to live happily and prosperously in the creative society. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Tatiana, for emphasizing that we really need to share this information, this vital and life-saving information with every single person that we know. That's the only one chance for us to survive in the circumstances that we live in right now. And dear viewers, if you didn't get a chance to watch the conference Global Crisis, this already affects everyone, please do so. You can find the YouTube link below in the description to this video. And please don't forget to share again with all people you know. And I would like to thank all our guests and all our viewers for your active participation in today's discussion and your support of the Creative Society. Your contribution is so valuable for us, for our society, for our future. So thank you so much for being with us today.
We would like to invite everyone, guests, viewers, to our next conference on December 4th, Global Crisis, Time for the Truth. We want that all people participate in this conference, that everybody understands the deep state of crisis which we are in. We will see the progress between July 24th and December 4th in what happened to our planet. How did it develop in just a couple of months? We invite everyone to this conference, and please share this information on the conference on July 24th and the invitation of the conference on December 4th. This is vital information for every single person. Just as every one of us has this inner urge, this inner duty to inform somebody if he knows that where he's traveling tomorrow or the city where he lives, there there's coming just a bad weather, big storm. You just call your friend and tell him, hey, look, in 2 hours there will be a storm in your city. It's an inner duty of every one of us who do this, right? And we have now this inner duty towards all people on this planet to inform everybody about what is coming. We thank very much our speakers today, the interpreters who were and are translating live our roundtable, and to thank everybody who made this roundtable possible. Deep gratitude to everybody, and see you at the next roundtable. Thank you very much.